can come a little closer if you want. I have a special guest today, Miss Ashley Cariño, Miss Florida. Well, as you all know, today we're here because of an incident that occurred at the Liberty High School, in which a video has surfaced and it's gone viral that appears to show a juvenile striking another juvenile. There's been some questions on whether my agency investigated this crime. I'm here to tell you, yes, we did. On October 27th, when the incident was brought to the attention of the school officials, we took action and immediately gathered a team of members together to start investigating this incident. After an immediate investigation, our agency members were able to collect all the documents and determine all the facts. We sent the information to the State Attorney's Office for their review. They currently have our case, and they will determine if criminal charges are forthcoming. School violence is unacceptable, and kids need to feel safe when they leave the home and go to school. As a result of this case and many others, myself, along with Miss Ashley, Miss Florida, Miss Ashley Cariño, are establishing an anti-bullying campaign. We created an anti-bullying video which was presented in every Osceola County school, raising the awareness and getting the point across to students that they do not need to tolerate or become victims of crimes. We're here for them. It's a crime to bully in the state of Florida under Florida State Statute 1006.147, and we will hold you responsible. I'm going to now turn it over to Miss Ashley so she can say a few words, or do we have Spanish press? ¿Lo hago en español ahora? Okay, sorry. Let me just, ¿tú también eres de la prensa latina? Okay. Let me do this for the Spanish press. Hoy estamos reunidos por un incidente que ocurrió en el high school de Liberty, en Poinciana. Un video salió enseñando que un muchacho le da un golpe a otro muchacho. Han surgido unas preguntas que si esta agencia investigó el incidente, y claro que sí. De inmediato lo investigamos el 27 cuando se trajo el incidente a nuestra atención. Un equipo de oficiales fueron, investigaron el incidente y colectaron todos los documentos, determinaron todo lo que ocurrió y le enviamos esa información al estado de la Florida para que ellos entonces tomen posesión del caso para ver si los cargos adecuados vienen. Ese es parte del procedimiento que hacemos aquí en el estado de la Florida. Los oficiales investigan el caso y después se lo envían al estado cuando son juveniles, porque muchas veces no los podemos arrestar en ese momento. Las escuelas deben de ser un sitio, un lugar donde niños van y no deben esperar ser víctimas de violencia. Ellos tienen que sentirse seguros cuando ellos se van de sus casas para ir a las escuelas a aprender. Es un resultado de muchos casos anteriores donde víctimas surgió víctimas de bullying. Yo y Miss Florida, Ashley Cariño, establecimos una campaña contra el bullying y creamos un video, y el video fue presentado a la mayoría de las escuelas en el condado de Osceola. Estamos creando la conciencia para que los niños sepan y entiendan que bullying es un crimen y no va a ser tolerado. Y los vamos a aguantar a todas las personas que están responsables cometiendo estos actos de bullying responsables. En contra de la ley, y es un Florida Statute que se dice, el número es 1006.147, y ese es el que podemos utilizar para dar los cargos que la criteria de bullying cae y el Estado determina que eso fue en sí un incidente de bullying. Ahora se lo voy a dejar a Ashley para que haga algunas palabras, pero como ya yo dije eso en inglés, primero voy a dejar que ella hable en inglés y después ella puede decir unas palabras en español.
Thank you, Sheriff. So one of the reasons why the Sheriff and I partnered together was because of this very incident. We want to ensure that everyone knows that schools have a zero tolerance to bullying. I myself was a victim to bullying growing up. I experienced emotional abuse from name-calling to pushing, and it escalated to physical abuse. But what helped me was the support of my parents, that they didn't chalk it up to simply child's play, because the reality is that bullying can have serious emotional effects, and long-term effects to our students. Not every child has the same coping mechanism, so it's important that as parents and as teachers, we don't just consider this as child's play or a rite of passage, but that we take actions to ensure that our students know that at our school systems, we will have zero tolerance for bullying. In Spanish.
Yes.
Bueno, incidentes así fue la razón por la cual yo me uní con el sheriff, para que los estudiantes sepan que el bullying es algo que no va a ser tolerado en nuestras escuelas. Yo como estudiante fui víctima del bullying. A mí me llamaban nombres, sufrí bullying emocional, hasta físico. Lo que a mí me ayudó fue que mis padres estuvieron ahí, me apoyaron, igual que las maestras. Las maestras se aseguraron que yo supiera y que los estudiantes supieran que el bullying no es algo permitido. Y eso es lo que nosotros queremos, que los estudiantes sepan que en nuestras escuelas, en nuestro condado y en nuestro estado, el bullying es algo que no tenemos tolerancia de ellos. Gracias.
If you have any questions for me and for her, we'll take them at this time. We'll do English first,
Sure.
and then we'll do
sure.
some Spanish.
This happened in October.
Yes.
We're now in December.
Yes.
Why now? Why this press conference? I mean, we also were told that the school took care of this, that the student was penalized. I know you said that charges are pending, but
Because the video just went viral for some reason, and we've received hundreds of messages saying, why haven't you taken action? But in fact, I believe they're providing you with copies of the charging affidavits. They were all charged on the 27th when it was brought to our attention. So we just want to clarify and make sure that everyone understands that when this action took place, we immediately took action and charged them accordingly. Also, we took the opportunity to share that we are working on an anti-bullying campaign, and we're going to continue to raise the awareness so people start listening and stop being bullies with other children. Now, I'm not going to say this specific case is a bullying case because it's in the hands of the state attorney and they're reviewing it, but some cases will fall under bullying, and that's what we're going to try to prevent, to have less cases like this.
Sheriff, these individuals, 16, 17, and 18, charged with battery, and of course you're waiting to see what the state attorney's office says. The child basically said that this has happened and he didn't report it. Why is fear of retaliation? Are there any special needs? Are there any special concerns as it relates to this young person, this victim who was bullied?
I don't have any specifics on who he is or what his special needs are. You know, I know that there was a reporter that interviewed his mother, and it was on the video saying that he didn't have any type of special needs. So, you know, but like I said, she's not here to talk about that. And, you know, and like I said, during the incident, you know, we offered him if he needed any type of medical. But at that time, they said they didn't have any because there was no injuries on the child.
Also, at least one of the people, suspects, said that this child had talked trash about him. He confronted him, came back later, and the child acted like he didn't know what was going on. The stories or the reports that you've received, what do you think of those?
Well, you know, remember, there's always two sides of the story, okay? That's why we're letting the state attorney look at this and review all documents and make sure that they make the accurate call and make sure that everything here is going to be charged accordingly. You know, because they are juveniles, and you're going to have juveniles fight. You're going to have juveniles hit each other. Like I said, fights are a little bit different from bullying. In this case, like I said, a lot of the details have been with the state since the 27th, and they're going to, you know, look at it, and it's still it was just recently submitted. And when, you know, when there's no speedy trial because you didn't effect the arrest, it takes a little longer, these processes.
Sheriff, we hear from parents again and again when we talk about bullying that other parents are not taking the initiative in being involved with the children and disciplining them properly. As sheriff, how do you convince the parents that are not as engaged in their children's lives, especially the ones that parents of bullies, that this is something that needs to be addressed and taken action?
Well, first, we have to identify, if, as a parent, is my son a bully? You know, are we getting complaints from the schools? Are we, is our child being, you know, we're getting letters home from the parents or from the schools, he getting suspended? You know, you really got to look into to see what factors are before we decide how we're going to discipline our children. Now, you know, obviously as a responsible parent, I know a lot of us are one-parent households and we work a lot, you know, but you got to always take that time to give, you know, that little 5-10 minutes of the day if you can to your child, even call them or text them and make sure everything's okay. Because, you know, sometimes they stay silent and they're afraid of repercussions from other people. But as to if you're a parent and you have a child who's a bully, if something like that is brought to your attention, you really need to take action and start nipping that in the butt, because it's only going to get worse, and you really affect people's lives until they're adults.
Sheriff, give us a walk-by-walk what happened in that video. Describe what happened to that child and how many times he was punched.
Well, in the video that I saw was just, it looks like someone saying something to another child. He walks up to the water fountain, the kid hits him, and then he continues to walk behind him, but that's the only strike I see. That's the only video that I have.
And the bathroom video, I mean, there was no video in the bathroom, and he alleged that he was
No.
punched there too.
No, I hadn't seen any videos in the bathroom.
Sheriff, is fighting or bullying, is it an issue that you were having more than one case with? Obviously, this one went viral at Liberty, but to do a bullying campaign, is your office investigating other cases?
No, are you familiar with Liberty High School? A little bit? Are you familiar a little bit with Liberty High School? Okay, it's a kind of a tougher school. We've had a lot of fights there. You know, why, I don't know. You know, it's just like a tougher type school. I'm from Chicago. I mean, we had fist fights and we had a lot of violence in our school. I'm not saying it's to that capacity, but, you know, I think that some bullying and some fist fighting, you know, eventually there's some sort of bullying or taunting that leads to that. So it goes one-on-one. So, you know, we've seen a lot of bullying in years, and we've seen a lot of kids that are actually, and people who commit crimes, violent crimes, say, hey, I was bullied by this guy, or I was picked by this guy, especially when you see all these active school shooters. So what we're trying to do is raise this awareness. If a fist fight, it's a fist fight. But as long as this bullying is not escalating to a point where this child is going to go home and get a gun like we saw in Michigan, that's what our awareness is trying to raise and get to that before it escalates to that type of problem.
You know, Sheriff, in most schools, there's a no tolerance for fighting, period. And maybe it's a good thing, but I think it's a bad thing because sometimes the person who's a victim also suffers consequences. Will your bullying campaign even look into that zero tolerance?
Well, you know, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start our anti-bullying campaign at a lower level. Like you say, it should start in the home, but you want to hit these kids a little bit at a younger level, because once you're in high school, you're 15, 16, you're grown, you know it all. Especially nowadays, these kids are so much smarter than the kids, and I'm not saying, you know, anybody, but just years ago, it just seemed like children are a lot smarter at 11 and 12 years old than they were when I was a kid. So now we got to really start approaching this at a different level with more awareness, videos with people of influence who have been through these type of incidents and actually are homegrown in our county, who can actually influence people to stand up. I'm not saying stand up and fight, but, you know, stand up and yell, make a noise. Hey, this is enough. This way we can have these kids say, hey, this is wrong. You're drawing negative attention to yourself. You know what? It's that mob mentality. If you're breaking something up, a lot of these kids are going to say, hey, this is a good thing, man. You need to stop. Then that kid's going to get isolated, and he's going to be like, this probably might be the right direction and we need to go, and hopefully it'll discontinue that bad behavior.
Sheriff, you mentioned on the 27th is when you filed the charges for the students. Do you know what day they were suspended? And
I don't have a lot of information, but from my understanding, the school board took immediate action. They did a great job. They right away, as soon as they found out the video surfaced, they called us. We got involved, and I do believe there were some suspensions, but I didn't get into those details because that's something that the school board handled. I'm going to take something in Spanish now because we got to give some opportunities to others.
Hemos estado hablando de esta escuela en varias ocasiones. La oficina del sheriff le preocupa esto, qué alternativa o se han reunido para hacer un plan con escuelas planteles que han tenido este problema seguido.
El problema es que, mira, nosotros tenemos dos diferentes problemas. Hay menos padres en el hogar que están vigilando a sus niños porque se están preocupando por trabajar. Y hay vecinos a veces de malas influencias que desafortunadamente están criando a nuestros hijos porque nosotros tenemos que trabajar. O se lo dejamos en manos de un vecino responsable, pero sus hijos son unos delincuentes. O sea, eso, la educación con una campaña de anti-bullying, unos niveles más bajitos, especialmente de esas escuelas como Liberty, que hemos visto muchos incidentes en los últimos tiempos. O sea, es educar, y también de vez en cuando tratar de envolver a los padres y a otros niños que son víctimas para que ellos hablen y paren como hizo Miss Florid.
Yo tuve oportunidad de entrevistar a la madre del joven venezolano y ella estaba muy angustiada porque se siente insegura. ¿Qué le puede decir a toda la comunidad venezolana que siente en este momento miedo de llevar a sus hijos a las escuelas? A raíz de este caso han salido muchísimos casos más de padres de jóvenes venezolanos que están siendo atacados en colegios en este país.
Sí, yo te digo, esta es la primera vez que yo veo que es una persona venezolana. Yo creo que si empezamos a sacar esto por raza, negro, blanco, venezolano, boricua, cubano, nos sacamos del enfoque y vamos a estar haciendo todo lo que está haciendo todo el resto de los Estados Unidos. Tenemos que enfocarnos en que son niños, son seres humanos, y esos padres que tienen esos hijos en esa escuela tienen que ir a reportarlo a los oficiales y reportarlo a la policía, porque hay diferentes razas que están cometiendo estos delitos. No es solo una raza siendo victimizada por unos delincuentes.
Did I understand you say that the suspects, were they sisters, brothers?
No, there was something in there with a brother and sister, but like I said, I don't know what their involvement was. I just had the facts of what has happened and went up to the state.
And they haven't appeared in juvenile court? Are they all back in school?
No, I think it's still in the state attorney's office and they're waiting to process it. But do we have any questions for Miss Florida? I mean, you guys got an opportunity here that you know, and I think it's a good opportunity. She came out second runner-up to,
That as parents, we also have a responsibility to not only identify if our child is bullied, but also to identify if our child is the one that's being bullied. And one of the ways that we can do that is to be aware of the signs. If my child is perhaps not eating or doesn't want to go to school, is not showing interest in the things that he or she were showing interest before. So these are some of the signs that parents can look for to identify if their child is being bullied.
Can I just kind of discuss this, because I know you're homegrown, you went to high school here, and
Yes.
this happened. What do you envision this campaign with the sheriff looking like? I mean, education piece, intervention, prevention. How do you envision this?
Yes, well, it's like a little bit what the sheriff was saying, a little bit of everything. We want to ensure that children understand that they can speak out, and that children also understand that bullying is something that doesn't have a place in our school system, and also that parents are aware of the signs to identify whether my child is bullied or whether my child is being bullied. So I think that we just want to educate everyone on this subject. I went to TICO. I went to PATH at TICO. I also went to Horizon Middle School and Bealago. So I'm from here.
¿Quieres una pregunta en español para ella?
Sí, quisiera que le hablaras a los jóvenes, en este caso hispanos, de cómo enfrentar psicológicamente lo que tú pasaste también con el bullying.
Bueno, es parte de saber que uno tiene la fuerza, que uno es valiente, que uno también no tiene que enfrentar el bullying solo, que hay padres que tú puedes recurrir, maestros que también tienen las herramientas para ayudarte, y que hay herramientas también como terapia. Si tú piensas que lo que tú estás enfrentando quizás en la escuela o en la casa no lo puedes hacer solo, pues tú puedes recurrir a otros recursos como terapia.